Hello and welcome to Melbourne, Australia for a brand new season of PSGL's Formula 4 division. And we are here for the opening round of the season for the Australian Grand Prix. So, no tables to discuss, of course, as this is being the first round season. So, we're going to have the usual 12-minute qualifying session and then 50% of this splendid circuit. Just checking something here. Had a slight... oh, that was weird. Bit of lag there. Right. Now, first bit of information for you, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's dry quali, of course, but we apparently are going to have a wet start to the race, which will then transition all the way through to dry conditions. That is an interesting mix-up for these 17 drivers out there this evening. Some very familiar names for those of you who watch PSGL regularly, F4 especially, and this season we have some real quality entering the division from F1. At least 3 ex-F1 drivers from the previous 2 F1 2017 seasons. So I'm going to go through the grid that is here at the moment. There are 3 drivers missing this evening. Those being number 1 Taffy, Tejuar, and I do believe, yes, Gazaman is the other one. So these are the teams for the final F1 2017 season for F4. Deja Vu and Raver's Revenge, they will be in the Red Bull team this season. Then we have Simo and Josh, aka Boy of No Face. They're going to be racing for Scuderia Ferrari this season. Let's get some on-track action here. Let's have a look at Simo in the Ferrari, number 25, going through the first corner, running wide slightly, but he won't be too concerned about that. So, BWO Clyde, one of the veterans of PSGL, he's in McLaren, and LFC for Life in the other McLaren. Is LFC for Life here today? Doesn't look like... I can't see LFC for Life. No, it doesn't look like he's here either. LFC for Life's in the other McLaren. Then we've got Game Freaker and Hulkenberger in the Renault cars. And they are certainly one of the favourites for the Constructors' Championship this season, in my opinion. Then, in the Mercedes, the Silver Arrows, we've got Mr. P80 and Sab 7786. And then, in the Sauber team, certainly the most experienced combo on the grid, we have Iran and Mr. Grumpy. Iran, of course, a former 3-time PSGL F1 champion. And then, a lot of people's picks for the Constructors' Championship this season is Blue Mosquito, the reigning F4 champion, and Warren Haig, a former F4 champion himself. So the Pink Panthers, they will certainly be a pair of drivers to look out for. Then for Williams, we have Gazaman and Gordo, and they will be hoping not to struggle as much as the real Williams team are at the moment. And then Toro Rosso, we have 2 real grizzled veterans of the PSGL fraternity. We have Tejuar, the former and founder of PSGL, one of them, and Betrayer, a multiple race winner of this level, a very successful driver during the course of PSGL. They will have the Toro Rosso car, one of the best looking cars from the 2017 season, as we continue on with Simo. And then finally, number 1 Tappy and Miles, they make up the grid in the Haas cars. So, in terms of the Drivers' Championship, I do think it's wide open. You know, we had Blue Mosquito, through consistency and a few outstanding drives, had the championship sewn up realistically with a few races to spare, which means even though he sort of slowed down towards the end, he still had it comfortably in the bag. So is this going to be, is Iran on a flying lap? Warren Haig's early pace on the softs, 1:23.097 from Iran. That's more like it. So let's see what tyres everybody is on right now. So Warren Haig, as he often likes to do, gets a feel for the track on the weaker compound just to see what it's like. But I do think most of the field out there are going to be going for the ultra soft, surely, especially as it's going to a wet start to the race. There's no point going on the weaker compounds, you're just going to lose yourself time. And Iran currently in first position. We've got yellows in sector 1. Let's see what's going on. Has anyone gone off the track? Oh, and Gordo, well, I was mentioning the Williams team will be hoping not to struggle like the real life Williams team, but well, that's not an ideal start to his season. He's lost half his wing coming out of turn 3, so he'll have to get out of the way, and he'll have a long lap back to the pits to get it fixed, and look at that, very close between the top three, less than 0.2 of a second between the top three. Grumpy moves up into second, so I think that time's going to be gradually coming down as the session goes on. 1:22.974 early banker laps. Okay, it's not F1 pace obviously, but I think some of these drivers are certainly capable of getting into the low 22s, but we shall see as the session goes. Oh, and Blue Mosquito going up in second. You can see how hard he was pushing, and Josh a 1:22.866. So just like pre-season, it's looking like a very close grid in terms of the one lap pace. But whereas last week we only had 11 drivers, we've got 17 this time, so it's a packed grid out there, full of experience and the exuberance of youth as well. So let's look down the order. Josh had a very impressive pre-season, finishing second, and he's in the Ferrari, a teammate of Simo of course. And then Game Freaker in second, who won the pre-season race, which was a fantastic achievement for him. Had a great battle with Irin and Josh late on in the race. He won the race through, you know, keeping it clean really, no penalties. So we've had 12 drivers setting times. Sam 4.3 seconds off the pace. I don't think that's representative. Look at that, Grumpy going faster. According to some of the non-televised racing they did in terms of practice, Grumpy was looking very impressive at Australia. There was a certain practice session yesterday where Grumpy really impressed with an aggressive strategy, but it's going to be different. Can he handle the pressure? Well, he's raced enough here at PSGL to know all about the pressure at various levels, so he'll be hoping, like last season, he can win here once again. So at the moment it's a mere 0.3 between the top 5. That is what you want to see for a competitive grid. And Warren Haig has gone back out, so I think we're going to do a lap of the circuit with Warren Haig. What has he gone out on? Has he gone out on the softs? No, he's on the ultra softs this time, so actually he's not quite there yet. Now there are a few drivers on the grid in my opinion who are overdue for a race win. This is one of them, Deja Vu. He's come close in the past to getting a PSGL win in this particular division. I can't speak for any other races he's done outside of the races I've done with him. It is a strange feeling for me, 5 seasons in a row at this level to start my league racing career, and I'm not racing this season, so it's definitely a different perspective. Now normally I won't be commentating this every week as Kurt Toy's absent tonight, no idea why, but happy to cover for him. Incidentally, Irin will be streaming PSGL F1 tomorrow on his particular channel, as I will not be in. I'm actually going to be in London seeing WWE Raw. So a bit of a dorky thing for me to be doing. But anyway, enough about WWE. We're going to focus back on PSGL action here. This is F4. It has a reputation for being one of the cleanest racing divisions on PSGL, but there's plenty of speed here as well. Now, where is Haig? Is he starting his lap? Yes, so Haig starts the lap then of this fantastic Albert Park circuit. So through turn 1 and 2, it's a very, many of the corners on this track very strong on the front tyres, so it moves up to turn 3, first DRS zone, the second one rather. They're going around the corners, and you just want to not take too much curb because you can easily spin out the tyre at the end of the wall. I've seen that happen before. And heading for the first sector, so what does this look like? Haig was really getting back in form towards the end of last season, back to his best in his own words, and look at that Hulkenberger for Renault, the 1:22.714, but immediately Dougie Dude for Toro Rosso out of nowhere, a 1:22.375. He's a reserve for F4 at the moment, but performances like that in the top 10 at the moment, original pole, he'll be delighted with that. Warren Haig going through probably the favourite section for most people who drive this track. Absolutely fantastic. Turns 11 and 12, and then into heading towards the penultimate parts of the track, 13, 14, as we fly through now. Tricky braking zone of 15. It's really easy to slip onto the grass on the outside, and then you want to get 16. Now it should be flat, but you have to get a good line. If you get the line wrong, you have to lift off, and that costs you a tenth or two. But this looks like a decent lap for Warren Haig, and it is. He has moved up to second place, so that's a great lap for Warren Haig at this stage of the session. We have just over 2 minutes session to go. Now Warren Haig, the only problem for Warren Haig is he's he's not going to have any time to get back into the pits. So in a way, that's going onto the softs first when it's going to be a wet race. Maybe he didn't realise straight away that it was going to be a wet race, but that's leaving him vulnerable to the track evolution. So Dougie Dude for Toro Rosso at the moment in provisional pole. Then Hulkenberger, he will definitely not get out again for another run. So Grumpy, how much fuel does he have? That's going to be a question. Plenty of fuel. So you might even get 2 runs in, as long as the first one is clean. So only one driver not setting a time yet, and that's Gordo for the Williams team. Earlier to, let's have a look. Sab in 16th, Clyde in 14th, Betrayer in 13th, surprisingly. Must have made some mistakes on his flying lap, so he'll be hoping to get up there a little bit. So it's quite a mixed sort of top 10, sort of ex-F1 drivers, regular F4 drivers and newcomers, so that's good to see. You know, some people might think, oh, drivers coming down from F4, they'll just dominate every single race, but well, it may well end up like that during the season. Who knows? So Hulkenberger's session is over. He's currently third, but I suspect, yeah, he's already lost a place. And Josh goes into second. Has he got one more lap in him? He gained nearly half a second on his previous best, so that's a brilliant run from him. But Ducky Dude's still in provisional pole. Ron Haig then will not be going to get... Oh, and Blue flying over turn 2, and that's not going to be good for his, you know, top speed going into this course, so that may have cost him a tenth or two. Now what about Grumpy? Grumpy heading into the final section of the track then. There is another car up ahead, I don't know who that is, it's a Haas I think. Oh no, whoever it was peels into the pits. So Grumpy heading to the line. He was provisional pole earlier on in the session. Where's this going to put him? He doesn't improve, but maybe this is another flying run. Yeah, looking at the commitment of turn 1 and 2, he just got over line in time. Simo goes up into 5th and the session is over. So is there anyone else out there? Well, there's plenty. So it looks like Irin is going to be one of the first. Yellow's in sector 2. Miles. What's happened to Miles? Has he just called it a day? Yeah. Oh, he's lost it. An unusual place to crash. Between turn 10 and 11, but Irin heading for the line. The 3-time PSGL F1 champion. How does he do? Gains over half a second, but it's not enough. It's 4th place. Dougie Dude finishes. Josh heading for the line. Can he get any sort of time out of it? No, he does not improve. So there's plenty of drivers, really quick drivers out there who can improve. I don't think Blue's going to be one of them. So Blue, only 7th, the reigning champion. And what about Game Freak? He's currently in 9th position, but I believe he's on a quicker lap. So he just needs to get this final exit right, and he'll be heading to the line. Will he steal pole position for F4, the first of the season, rise to the death? This is looking pretty good, and it's 2nd place. Look how tight it is. Unbelievable. Where's Grumpy? Grumpy's heading for the line. He's 3 tenths up, apparently. Grumpy hits the line, and it's only 8th. Well, that's surprising. He was 3 tenths up, and it was still not enough to get anywhere near the front row. But what about Simo? He's capable of a blinding lap, and I think he moved ahead of Grumpy, in fact. So, a fascinating qualifying session, and Dougie Dude, the surprise package here, takes pole position. Game Freak, the pre-season race winner, in 2nd. Josh in 3rd. Haig in 4th. Irin in 5th. Simo in 6th. Hulkenberger. Grumpy, the reigning F4 champion Blue, could only manage 9th, but we know that poor qualifying performances haven't stopped him in the past. Deja Vu in 10th. Ravens, Miles, Clyde, Betrayer, Mr. P, Sub and Gordo make up the 17 grid. But look how tight that was in terms of the time. Less than 2 tenths between the top 6. If it's like that every race, this will be a must-watch season. Oh wow, getting serious lag on the intro. Right, better skip that. Must be because of the rain. And look at that, it is bucketing it down here. This is not the kind of weather you want to emigrate to Australia for, but they do get some vicious storms in the southern hemisphere. And well, for the less experienced drivers, they don't want to see the rain like this too often this season. And Gordo at the back of the grid will probably be in the best place. He'll be like, yeah, I'm at the back of the grid, everyone can just go to the first corner through the spray and I'll pick up any places of anyone who trips up over each other. So Dougie Dude versus Game Freaker on the front row. So we're about to get going here for what should be a fascinating first race of the season of PSGL F4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights down and away we go. Who gets the better start? I think Game Freaker slightly better than Dougie Dude as they pull away from the line. Oh my goodness, what on earth? Cars are spreading out, and I think Dougie Dude's had a shocking start. He's dropped down. Oh, and there's a Renault off. That's Hulkenberger. Well, it's a bit like Spain today. A Renault flying off the track. Hulkenberg's lost multiple positions, and so has Grumpy, in fact. So let's go back to the front. I think Josh is in the lead at the moment. So Josh has taken the lead. Game Freak in second. Aaron in third. So it's a ex-PSGL F1 1, 2, 3, and it's a 5-second stop-and-go penalty for Betrayer for ignoring a yellow flag. That must have been one of those unlucky illegal overtakes you can get at the start of a race like this. Haig in fourth. Dougie Dude is recovered, but he had a shocking start from the front row. He seemed to get a decent getaway, but he just couldn't get up through the gears, and that's why he got absolutely swamped. So he's down to fifth, so that's actually not too bad. I think he's run wide already, and that's going to put him under pressure. And up ahead is that. Yeah, look at that. Game Freaker has made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped from second to fourth. So they're really struggling with the grip out there. Full wet conditions to start this race, and Haig's made a mistake. Out to turn 12, so that's going to put them under pressure. Game Freaker will go to the outside. Oh, he's outbroken himself. Game Freaker, no, that's not what you want to do. Cold tyres. No formation lap to warm them up, of course. That's the consequence of that. You've got to be so careful on the brakes. And he's dropped to 7th. Haig is up to 3rd. So that promotes Dougie Dude back to 4th as he attempts to recover all the ground he's lost. Betrayer has gained 8 places on the first lap. 7 for Sab. And Simo, the biggest loser, must have been caught up in that contact maybe with Hulkenberg. I'm not really sure. I couldn't tell really because of all the spray. But he has lost 10 places, and there's wing changes, multiple wing changes going on in the pit lane right now. And it's Grumpy, one of them. Oh, look at that. Haig has lost his entire front wing. Parts of it anyway, looked like from the camera angle. And Simo in as well. So 3 of those who some would say are potential title challenges this season having a terrible start to their season. So let's have a look at the gaps. Aaron in second place, Warren Haig in third, Dougie in fourth. He lost 3 places in the net at the moment. Deja Vu up to 5th, he's gained 5 places. So it's been a lot of sort of shuffling about of the grid from the start. Oh, Dougie Dude. He just flew through that corner and he nearly came a cropper. He managed to save it though, fortunately for him. So what are the other close gaps? So yeah, it looks like the top 3 are starting to eke away a little bit from Dougie Dude. So that's Game Freaker in 7th. He made that mistake we saw on the previous lap, and that's what dropped him 7th. So now he's got to take on Betrayer, who one of the most... Oh, and look ahead! Deja Vu has made a mistake out of turn 12, and he's lost positions. They're really struggling. A bit rusty in the wet weather practice maybe. Perhaps these drivers weren't expecting the rain for this. And those who prepared in the rain, they'll be the ones who will be celebrating good results, I feel, at the end of this race. So Blue is outside the points. The reigning F4 champion outside the points. And now he's got to get past Clyde and Sab, which for a driver of his skill and experience would be maybe easier if it was dry. But in these conditions, he's got to be so careful. Can't afford to trip over someone and damage his wing at such an early stage of the race, because according to the weather we are going to get intermediate and then dry conditions by the end of the 29 laps. So there's a long way to go in this one. Now let's have a look at Betrayer, because I think he's under pressure from Game Freak, who's moved up to 5th thanks to Deja Vu's mistake, which we saw earlier. Oh, Betrayer gets a poor exit. That's going to allow Game Freaker to close in. End of sector 2 then. There you go for lap 3. No DRS, of course, in these wet conditions. So Betrayer, well, you know, there's not many more experienced than him, so he will know what it's all about. These sort of conditions. Miles is in the pits. That's probably for a wing change. So Grumpy and Hulkenberg are battling out for 14th place, but we're going to focus on this for the time being. Just want to see where this goes. And Blue Mosquito. Something's happened to Dougie Dude, and he's dropped down to 11th, and that's a bad exit out of turn 12 by Betrayer, and I think Game Freaker is going to have a run on him. Indeed he does. And he swoops past, but can he get the braking right this time? He didn't previous lap. Oh, Game Freaker, the back end. Screaming for mercy almost, but Game Freaker had it under control just about. And he maintains 4th position, having just taken it from Betrayer. So Dougie Dude down in 11th place at the moment. Really struggling, and that's the yellows in sector 2. Miles is out of the race. Meanwhile, Blue Mosquito putting the move on BW Clyde, who went really deep into turn 15, and that's cost him the place. So Blue back up to 9th where he started. So we'll go back to Deja Vu, who's now trying to recover after that mistake earlier in the race. Miles out of the race. Well, that's a real shame for him. Just have a look, see if I can catch Miles, see what's happened to him. Oh, he's lost control of the car, and that is I think that was turn 3, but I didn't get much chance to actually see it. Unusual place to crash. As Mr. Grumpy sets the fast lap, and Dougie Dude, the pole sitter, is in the pit lane. Oh, he would have been hoping for a dry race. He must have got wing damage to be pitting this early. He comes out 15, just ahead of Simo. Well, he'll be hoping for dry races by the looks of it, because he has just really struggled. So then, let's run through the top 10. Josh, Iran, Haig, Freaker, Betrayer, Deja Vu, Ravers, Saab, Blue Mosquito, and Clyde make up the top 10. Gordo running in 11th at the moment. He's gained 6th place from the start. Just like I said, just keeping out of trouble at the start. And, you know, who knows? He may nick a point. Yellows in sector 1. Has anyone? Oh, looks like Dougie Dude. Dougie Dude has lost control of the car again, and that is out. That is out. Turn 4, 5, and Dougie Dude's nightmare race continues. It looks so good for him in qualifying. Quite big gaps developing. We may not see too many battles. We'll see what the race pace is, and actually it looks like Blue Mosquito is beginning to settle into this race a little bit. He's now closing in on the Mercedes of Sam. So Mercedes 8th and 12th at the moment, so it's a decent position for them to be in. They had the pairing of myself and Grumpy last season, finished 3rd in the Constructors' Championship, gaining 7 wins. Not promoting myself, I'm just stating the facts, honestly. But Sab's now got to defend against the reigning F4 champion. Sab's had plenty of races under his belt now at this level. And, you know, he's not going particularly quick in these conditions, but he's smoothly just controlling it. Blue, I mean, he has a bit of a half moment there, and Clyde behind certainly did. The back end of the McLaren not liking that particular corner. It is a tricky circuit, this one. So Blue getting better speed. And Blue, I thought he was going for an audacious sort of dive inside, but I think he just generally lost control of the car for a second. So then they fly from 10 and then down towards 11. Oh, they're going to go side by side into 11. That is tricky in dry conditions, let alone conditions like this. The rain is still coming down, so no real sign of intermediate conditions just yet. And Sab does a really decent job out of turn 12, and that actually manages to keep him ahead. So Game Freaker now is closing in onto the back of Warren Haig. Quite close enough yet, so let's go back to Blue in the battle for 8th place for this opening round of the PSGL F4 season. Game Freaker setting the fastest lap of the race, and I think he'll be all over the back of that Force India soon enough. And meanwhile, the other Force India is trying to move forward, and that's Blue Mosquito. He starts in 9th, sort of got caught up in turn 1 and dropped a few places. Oh, and it looks like Game Freaker has actually got past Warren Haig. Gonna stick with this one just to see what the conclusion to it is. Sab goes very defensive straight away, but that's off the line. There's not a lot of grip there. Blue tries to go around the outside, and Sab, to his credit, defending it for all its might, and that is fantastic defending from the Mercedes driver. He'll be delighted with that. He took a risk going defensive so early on the part of the track where there's no grip, but he got the job done, and he slammed the door firmly but fairly in Blue's face. So Blue's going to have to try again. This is a nice little battle then for 8th position. And they're actually coming up to, is that Raver's Revenge? Yes, the other Red Bull of Raver's Revenge suddenly coming into view. He was a few seconds off the road from Sab, but he must have made some mistakes somewhere. And meanwhile, Blue, they're going side by side into turn 11. Oh, this could end in disaster. And Blue gets the elbows out and he moves up to 8th place. Oh, but Blue slides and he's made contact with Sab, and Ravers has hit the wall. So Ravers falls down to 10th place. We saw he must have been struggling the lap before. Did he damage wing? No, he didn't. I think Sab may have got wing damage from the back of the fourth India, unfortunately. So Blue has moved up to 7th in the blink of an eye, and he'll be giving chase to Deja Vu. Deja Vu pits then. Is this India conditions? Let's see. This could be a benchmark for the rest to monitor the situation on. And it is into tyres for Deja Vu. The rain eased off the last lap, certainly. We will soon find out whether that is the right strategy. Is that a new wing for Sab? No, Sab had no wing damage, it looks like, so he's on the inters as well. So we will see how quickly they go. And that will give us a real indication of whether indeed the track is ready for inter conditions. Because if it isn't, well, they're going to be both way out the points, for sure. So monitor the gap between Grumpy and Deja Vu, and Hulkenberger and Sab. If those gaps drop vice versa, then we know who's right. As Josh flings it rally style around turn 12. Let's have a look at Deja Vu. Let's just see what the grip's like for him at this stage of the race. Deja Vu. Oh, look, he's fighting with the steering wheel. Is he going to be able to get this slowed down? He does indeed. Gordo hasn't looked like he's had the pace in this rain all race, so this may not be representative. Deja Vu then, currently in 10th, looking for points to start the season on. Sab has dropped 4.4 seconds behind Hulkenberger, so I do wonder if this is the right strategy. Look, Josh, Game Freak and Warren Haig in the pits. Betray as well, the inters are coming on. Deja Vu then, looking to move down the inside. If he's got the better grip, he should be able to get this done, and he does indeed. Ooh, Deja Vu just gets it slowed down. So, a hive of activity is the pit lane as Game Freaker, Josh and Warren Haig all come in for intermediate tyres. Betrayer, Clyde as well. So yeah, it looks like it is. The crossover has arrived. Quicker than I expected. We're only on lap 8 at the moment. Iran decided not to pit, interestingly. He could have done, because his teammate was nowhere near him, and yeah, everyone appears to be on the inters now. Sab is up to 10th. So he lost a bit of time on his outlap, I think, but he should still be in the points. What about Blue Mosquito? Blue Mosquito running in 7th position. He's behind Betrayer at the moment. That's the next target for him on track. 23.7 second advantage between the top two. So Iran, can he get that car back round? Where will he filter out? He was running in the top 3. Will running that extra lap prove to be very costly for the former 3-time PSGL F1 champion? About to say F4 there, that would have been a big mistake. But Josh heading through. Oh, Josh, he's really on the edge through turn 12 and 11, that is for sure. 2.5 seconds now between Josh. Is that the net battle for the lead? And there's another car in the pits ahead. Who is that? It's a Toro Rosso, but it's Dougie Dude coming in again. So, enters on. Where is Josh? Josh heading around the final corner. Now, don't forget, the Sauber pit garage is very close to the end, so I think Iran may just about come out ahead. This is going to be mighty close. Where is the Sauber? There's the Sauber right there. And Josh is going to have to try and put it round the outside of Iran, and he does. That was brilliantly executed. Crucial for his race as well. Iran will have fresher inters ever so slightly, but that was mighty close, and Iran, staying out the extra lap, nearly gave him the lead, and Dougie Dude goes off again. Well, it's just been a shambolic race for Dougie Dude, unfortunately. Just not able to handle these conditions, but if he can get pole position on the dry track the next time in a dry race, who knows. Mr. P80 gets a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding the pit lane. That will not help him, because he'll have to serve that if we do get dry conditions later on. And at this stage of the race, I don't think they're going to be able to take these inters all the way if we don't get any dry running. So let's have a look at the gaps. This is bubbling up nicely. 3 ex-PSGL F1 drivers in the top 3. Hagen 4th, former PSGL F4 champion. Deja Vu running a very commendable 5th at this stage of the race. He's 9 seconds off the top 4, but he had a few moments earlier in the race, but he's sort of taken advantage of some incidents behind him, and he's now running in 5th. So he opted to make one of the early pit stops for the Inter tyres, and that's paid off dividends for him. So Betrayer running in 6th. Will Betrayer and Blue begin to close the gap? Meanwhile, Raver's Revenge is closing in on the back of the Mercedes. I'm going to switch to Game Freaker shortly because the battle between Iran and Game Freaker is on. We saw a brilliant battle between them in pre-season, and actually I am going to have a look at them now. So Game Freaker, well, not as close as the timing would suggest. So I've got a Raver's Revenge. Sam has been very aggressive in his defending, something which he hasn't always been known for, so maybe that sort of season he just had has given him some... Oh, Sam pits! Or maybe he does have wing damage after all, because I don't see any other reason why he would pit. We'll find out momentarily, and then we're going to switch to Game Freaker. And yes, he does, so he's got a 5-second penalty as well to serve. Oh dear, it's all gone wrong. It's all gone totally wrong. Let's have a look at Game Freaker. Running in 3rd position at the moment, closing in on Iran, but Iran himself only 1.3 seconds behind Josh, so this looks like the battle for lead. Ron Haig's kind of in no man's land at the moment. He's not near the top 3, but he's not being challenged from behind, but I don't think he'd be too disappointed with 4th place to start the season, because he is confident that he can mount a bid for the championship this season. So Deja Vu running in 5th. Now the next battle on track looks like it could be between Betrayer and Blue Mosquito, so let's have a look at him. Oh, Blue flying through turn 12, gets it slowed down just about. Simo currently in 13th position, and Dougie Dude, well, spare a thought for him, 16th and 37 seconds behind 15th. Well, how many stops has he made actually? He's made 3 pit stops already, dearie me. So Josh sets the fast lap of the race, and that sort of maybe breaks the toe of Iran behind. So what about Game Freak? Where's Game Freak at the moment? No, not actually challenging at the moment. You know, Iran, if he makes any slight mistake, and it's a fast lap of the race for the F4 champion who won last season, driving for Force India this season. Looking to put the pressure on Betrayer, a very familiar opponent. These two are actually beginning to close in on Deja Vu as well, so we could get a nice freeway scrap for 5th place very shortly. Any other battles on track? What about Simo versus Gordo? No, not really close, so we'll go straight back to Blue, who is hunting down the Toro Rosso ahead of Betrayer, a former race winner at this level, at this particular track. In fact, in my very first career race, in terms of league racing, Betrayer won that day. With a very good strategy, but that was a completely different race, all dry conditions, and a completely different F1 2016 cars, of course. Mr. P80 pits in from 15th. Not sure what's happened with him. So Game Freaker once again closing the gap to Iran. 2 former teammates, I believe, in the past. I might be wrong on that. That was in a completely different division to this one. So Sauber versus Renault, the Ferrari of Josh, 1.5 seconds ahead. He's not exactly galloping away like a prancing horse, but he is in the prime seat. According to the weather reports, we should get some dry running later on. There's plenty of laps left, and we will get that. Now, guessing the transition between full wets to inters isn't that tricky, but getting it from inters to dry, that is a real challenge. If you get it wrong, you're going to lose a ton of time either way. So judging that, and that's where the experience of some of these drivers will really come into play. They may have a better feel of the track conditions. As Grumpy sets a fast lap, a fact that these lap times are starting to come down would suggest that the rain is easing off, and you can see on screen there's a bit less spray than there was about 5 minutes ago. So how long will it be before we get dry running, and how long before race control enables the DRS and we go to the maximum speed this track can offer? Well, it may not be too much longer, ladies and gentlemen, so get your popcorn ready. We may be in for some fun to finish this race. So the story of this race really, well, Dougie Doo was on pole position, made a poor start and got swamped, and then a number of drivers in midfield made mistakes. I saw a Renault spin, but again with the spray I really couldn't see anything, but there was definitely a Renault Hulkenberger off the track. Several drivers had to replace their wings, Simo, Grumpy among them as well. So Blue is really close to Betrayer now, closer than he has been. Josh sets the fast lap race, and he's now extended the gap to 2 seconds to Irons behind him. It's Haig actually has picked up the pace a little bit. 2.1 second gap now to Game Freaker, so who knows, he's had a bit of a lull period, and he's really extended the gap to Deja Vu. He's now 12.7 seconds ahead of Dave, so this rate Haig could have a pit stop to sort of slot himself back into when the dry conditions come, and that would be very useful for him, because one of the worst things is when you actually do judge it right and you pit for the dry tyres and then you end up stuck behind someone on the inter tyres, you can lose as much time as the car who's on the wrong tyres ahead of you. So up ahead then, there's Deja Vu. Oh, and there's a Toro Rosso. Oh, that's Dougie Dude. Thought that was Betrayer for a second, but no, it's the Dougie Dude who's been lapped. Mr. P80 must have been lapped by now, given the gap that's behind him. So let's just have a quick look at the overall gaps. So Dougie Dude and Mr. P80 have both been lapped, so not an ideal start for them. Sab has fallen down to 14th, so that wing change and that 5-second penalty has just destroyed his race really. I thought there was contact between Sab and Blue earlier on in the race where they had that nice little scrap in the top 10. And that has proven to be the case. So Betrayer, look at that. Blue going on the brakes slightly earlier, getting a tighter line, and that's really worked for him, because this is the first time he's really had a chance to put a move on Betrayer. Not quite close enough, but that was a clever bit of racecraft from Blue, just to ease off the gas a little bit earlier to get the tightest possible line. That nearly gave him the opportunity to overtake down into turn 13. So they go around the final corner, we're on lap 14 now, just about half distance then of this PSGL F4 Australian Grand Prix. Game Freaker still trying to get past Aaron. Aaron his pace is sort of eking off a bit, and that is actually putting them under threat from Warren Haig, who's now got the gap under 2 seconds. So the battle for the podium may be a free race affair. Now, let's go back to Blue, who's now still trying to get past this troublesome Toro Rosso. Betrayer is not going to give Blue an inch. Plenty of respect between these two. They've been around PSGL far longer than I have, so they know all the tricks that each other offer. So for Blue to get past, he knows he's going to have to pull off a very, very well executed overtake. It's not going to be easy. We have to keep an eye on the gap between Haig and Game Freaker, because Game Freaker will want to get past Aaron soon. But we all know how difficult Aaron is to overtake. We saw that in that pre-season race last week. Aaron was on the far inferior tyres, yet he was holding up cars lap after lap. And Betrayer actually does a really good job out of turn 12. He's actually now over a second ahead of Blue, so Blue not having the best of lap 14s. Hulkenberger now. Mr. Grumpy and Hulkenberger, they had lap 1 wing changes, of course. And they've basically been following each other ever since. Grumpy's back into the points for Sauber. We're getting a little bit of brightness now. The rain certainly looks less severe than it was earlier. So maybe we may get dry running very late on, last few laps of the race. Well, if anyone makes the right strategy call, then they are going to absolutely score big here today. 16 points for a win, of course, 12 for second, 10 for third. In case you haven't watched PSGL before, we have a different point system than real Formula 1. which promotes, you know, a tighter championship so that no one can easily run away with it. All the way down to a point for 10th place. So 1.6 seconds now, the gap between Game Freaker and Haig. So Haig is really beginning to reel in Game Freaker, which is mainly because Iran has fallen off the pace just a little bit. He's losing a few tenths to Josh each lap. And Game Freaker just can't seem to get past. Maybe needs DRS later on in the race to get past Iran, or maybe a different sort of strategy call. Now they've been on these inters a fair amount of times on these drivers now. Oh, Blue runs wide again, and Blue is now 1.8 seconds behind, so really isn't able to get up to Betrayer. Had that sort of half chance earlier, but was never going to be close enough. Deja Vu doing a decent job keeping ahead of these two. Let's have a look at Game Freaker now. Game Freaker still not able to get past the Sauber. It's a bit of a stalemate situation in some of these battles at the moment. It's going to come down possibly to a mistake, but Warren Haig is ever closer. So let's have a look at, let's go down the order a little bit. Hulkenberger within a second, Mr. Grumpy now, although he won't be after going deep into the corner like that. So Hulkenberger did look like he had a promising qualifying. Got caught up in a bit of madness in turn 1. Dougie Doo picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And Sab is actually beginning to close the gap from 14th to Gordo in 13th. I think Gordo finishing, that's going to be the important thing for his PSGL F4 debut this season. So rundown of the race order then. Josh, Iran, Game Freaker, Haig, Deja Vu, Betrayer, Blue Mosquito, Clyde, Rave's Revenge and Mr. Grumpy make up the top 10. We have 16 running of the 17 who started. Let's have a quick look at Josh anyway, see how he's getting on. Some rounds. Look, patches of blue sky beginning to appear. The rain is getting ever lighter. So how long left have these drivers got? And Warren Haig now in striking distance of Game Freaker almost. So Haig, you know, earlier on in the stint didn't look like he had the pace easily to keep Deja Vu at bay. I mean, look, that's nearly a pit stop. Gavin, oh, Game Freaker getting a bit of oversteer up ahead. Haig, you know, he's just bided his time, and suddenly he's really put the pace on. He's really got comfortable with the tyres up to temperature. Game Freaker being stuck in the dirty air for so long has maybe affected his tyre wear. Which now he's fallen nearly 2 seconds behind Iran. So can Haig get past Game Freaker before what we may see is stops for dry tyres? That could be pretty crucial in the battle for the podium. So unfortunately the chat on the YouTube stream isn't working for me, so I can't see what anyone's saying, but anyone watching, thanks for being here and I hope you're enjoying. It's been quite a fascinating race so far. I think it's kind of a calm before the storm situation right now. We're waiting for the dry running, which I do think is going to be fairly soon. And then when that happens, everything is going to kick off. You'll see the true pace of everybody unleashed. Because don't forget, if there is dry running, a lot of these drivers may be running dry setups, which would explain all the sort of oversteer we're seeing from a lot of the drivers and some of the mistakes we've seen. In the hope, essentially, that if they get dry running at the end, they'll have the best dry setup to really push the best possible position at the end of the race. And it's a 5-second stop go penalty for ignoring a blue flag. Well, let's hope it's not an F1 situation, thankfully. I don't think my heart can take another race like that. Game Freaker again up ahead, getting a bit of oversteer. Haig has dropped back slightly. He's made a mistake through turn 1 and 2. So now this battle for 5th is hotting up. Deja Vu had a big gap, but the pure pace of Betrayer and Blue, he's been reeled in. So we're going to get a three-way scrap for 5th place. The spray is getting less and less. Patches of blue sky appearing. Oh, Betrayer's gone deep. Will that put him under threat from Blue behind? No, it will not. Game Freak goes back within a second of Iran again. So let's just see what happens through this next section of corners. Yeah, Dave does a decent job. They all did pretty decent exits out of turn 6 and 7. But Deja Vu going offline for a moment there. Was that to sort of cool the tyres down perhaps? There's still plenty of spray out there, but you can see there's a dry line beginning to develop. Ever so slightly. So Deja Vu then under full attack from Betrayer. Betrayer cuts it just a tiny bit, but nothing untoward. That's a line you want to take, really. And you can see the back end of the Red Bull struggling. Oh, Raver's Revenge out of the race. What's happened to Raver's? I'm not gonna. Just want to see what happens because Deja Vu is really struggling with the back end. He's been on those inters longer, don't forget. Just have a quick look at him. Oh, and he's lost it. He must have lost it out of turn 12 and went onto the curb and spun it into the opposite wall. That's quite a common way to crash in these conditions at this track. And that's one of the most dangerous parts. So Raver's Revenge was running in the points, and that is a real shame for Raver's Revenge. He was on for a good point score, but that promotes several drivers into the points. Hulkenberger now the final points playing position at the moment. Meanwhile, Betrayer putting the Red Bull driver of Deja Vu under enormous pressure. Deja Vu's going to have to go defensive into the next corner. Actually doesn't need to in the end. Oh, this is Betrayer's a shark that smells blood. He sees the car ahead of him is vulnerable. And getting past now and getting that time before the dry running comes, that could be pretty crucial for both their races. You don't want to get stuck behind a slow moving car. And Deja Vu switches to the inside, sort of sticks it in the middle. Oh, and Betrayer had to really come off the gas there, and that could be a fatal moment because now Blue is coming at him. Betrayer's trying to get the slipstream, but Blue unable to pass or even launch an attempt. I think Betrayer, using his experience, got into the toe of Deja Vu, and that allowed him to hold off Blue Mosquito behind. So this is shaping up nicely. Don't forget Deja Vu, he pitted slightly earlier for the Inter, so maybe they're going off a little bit more. Again, running dry setups in the wet conditions, that can be a real problem. Now Blue has got a run on Betrayer, but again their straight line speed looks very similar. Blue slowing right down to get through those corners. They're really struggling for grip out there. And that's just an indication that the track is getting drier slightly. It's still raining though, and lap 20 we may not get any dry running in the end. It might be one of those last lap zeros. Oh, Deja Vu, he's lost control of the car coming out of 5, and that's going to allow Betrayer to sweep into 5th place, and that's what he's been doing. He's been waiting for that, hounding Deja Vu constantly. Oh, and a moment for Blue just avoids Deja Vu, and he moves up to 6th place. So in the space of a few corners, Deja Vu's dropped from 5th to 7th, and I think his Inter tyres are finished. We'll just have to try and nurse it to the end, or maybe put another set on. It's not time for dry conditions yet. Wait, DRS enabled. The rain has just suddenly stopped, and apparently it's dry running. Well, there's still spray out there. Who's going to come into the pits? Hay comes into the pits. There's still spray out there though. Well, this is extraordinary. Inters for Warren Haig. But DRS has been enabled. Supersofts for Gordo, but there's still spray out there. So Haig pits. Oh, and Betrayer gets a 5-second stop-go penalty. That'll be added on at the end of the race, the 5 seconds. So all that good work getting past Deja Vu is for nothing. So Haig comes out 28 seconds behind the leaders. There's a Williams up ahead, and Hulkenberg gets a 5-second stop-go penalty. So who has come in too early. Oh, Haig struggling for grip round that corner. Has he come in too soon? Oh, Haig! Yeah, he's come in a lap too soon, or maybe had no inters left. But he had a massive moment just then. So what is Josh going to do? There's still a little bit of spray on the track. DRS has been enabled. I'm very surprised the DRS has been enabled. It didn't look dry to me. The rain has literally just stopped. There's usually a bit more time, but maybe Charlie Whiting was like, you know what, I fancy a bit of chaos here to liven this race up. And well, that's fine with me. So Josh pits. Irin pits as well. Game Freaker pits as well. Haig is 29 seconds behind. He's pitted a lap too early. No question about it. So he's not going to jump any of the top three, I don't believe. Plenty of drivers in the pits now. Sab in the pits as well for the Super Softs. So where's Haig? That's the big question. Haig is, well, they're coming out of the pits now, and Irin. Did Irin just, I think Irin just jumped Josh. Yes, Irin just jumped Josh in the pits. So the Ferrari must have been held up by all the cars coming in. So Irin has taken the lead in the pits of this race. Warren Haig. Oh wait, now it's glitched. Oh, so he had inters on. Oh, I thought he put dryers on. I didn't notice. Sorry, it didn't. On my screen, the graphics weren't. So Warren Haig has had to pit twice. Oh dear. So Ultra Softs for the top 5. Everyone is pitted now, and Haig is that coming out in 6th position. So he's guessing he didn't select the tyre or something like that, or a glitch. But he has virtually no chance of a podium now. So the battle is on for the top 3. Irin looking to win his first PSGL F4 race, and Josh right behind him. It's going to go to the wire. The top 3 are 20 seconds ahead of Betrayer. Such has been their pace. But they've got to get their tyres up to speed. It's still damp track, so they've got to be careful. Betrayer in 4th, Blue in 5th, Haig in 6th, Clyde in 7th, Grumpy in 8th. Both on the Super Softs, interestingly. Hulkenberg in 9th, Simo in 10th. He's back in the points. And Deja Vu is in 11th place. So he's really dropped down. Maybe he had a wing change or a penalty of some kind. So Josh looking to make a move. As they exchange fastest laps. Blue Mosquito desperately trying to get past. Still spray on the camera, you can see it. Blue Mosquito heading through the final corner, taking as much curb as he dares. Now he's got the DRS wing is open. He's gonna have to go for a late lunge on, but is he gonna set it up for turn 3? Betrayer's been doing the opening corner superbly in the whole race. That's what's been keeping him ahead. But we're going to go straight back to the front because Irin is being caught by Josh once again. Closing laps of this PSGL F4 race. It's really hotted up now. Look how close the top 3 are. Just want to keeping an eye on Blue and Betrayer, because this is a fantastic little scrap for 4th place. It's not for the podium, but it's for good points. And they could all make the difference at the end of the season. Grumpy running in a superb 7th now. He's passed W. Clyde. So very good job. As the top 3 charge to start the 24th lap of this race. Round turn 16 they go. Can Josh challenge with the DRS? It's getting closer and closer. Exchange past that 3-second time penalty for Betrayer, and that could cost him 4th place. Josh looking for a race win to start the season. He's having half a look at Irin. Irin in the place he wants to be, in the lead, fresh tyres, and he can now use all his experience to defend for his life, and he is one of the best defenders on the entire community, as we've seen so many times in the past. Doesn't matter the reputation, whether you're a rookie or a veteran, Irin is an equal opportunity believer when it comes to his defending, in that he will defend hard and aggressively. even if it's to the detriment of his own race, because he just enjoys a good scrap out there. So Josh and Game Freak there within a second of each other. This is absolutely brilliant. The top three, Aaron, Josh, Game Freaker. Still the battle for fourth rages between Betray and Blue. Any other battles going on out there? Sab is close onto Gordo, but it's for 12th place, but we're not going to take our eyes away from this in the closing laps. Another 5 laps of this. And Sab is out of the race. I just mentioned him. And Sab has lost control of the car at the penultimate corner. Well, that's a strange place to lose it. Well, disappointing end for Sab's race. I saw some good defending him when he was up against Blue early on in the race. That was good fun. But, you know, better races to come, I'm sure, for Sab. So a sad end to his race. It was close to Gordo, but yeah, ending up the other way around at just before turn 15. That's a very unusual place to crash, it has to be said. Haig setting the fast lap of the race, trying to close the gap to Blue, but I think it's too little too late. So yeah, I've just reviewed the stream, and yes, so it looks like Haig pitted for Inters again, but I'm sure that was a mistake or a glitch in the game. I'm sure, you know, Warren Haig, you know, he's one of the best at judging the mixed conditions. He wouldn't have gone on to the Inters again because it was clearly the wrong call. Look how close the top 3 are now. What a thrilling conclusion to this race. Will we see some sort of almighty crash? Hopefully not. This will be settled on the track, because if anything happens between these 3, Blue and Betrayer, well, Blue has actually got past Betrayer in the end, but we're obviously focusing on this battle, so it's a shame we didn't see what happened. So Blue running in 4th, so if anything happens to one of the top 3, Blue will get onto the podium because he's got no penalties and Betrayer has 3 seconds, plus that pit stop penalty as well. So actually Betrayer could drop down to 6th place, maybe even 7th. So Josh is really close now. Here it's going to have to go defensive. Game Freaker is ready to pounce on any mistake the top 2 make. As we get a nice helicopter views, they go through 4, 5, heading towards turn 6. Warren Haig setting the fast lap of the race again. He's got really good pace, but it's too little too late. If only whatever happened to him hadn't happened, he may have been right here with these 3, battling for the lead of the race, but I'm sure there'll be more opportunities for him as the season goes on. We go to Brazil next week. That should be another thrilling race. The qualifying was amazingly close, and the race is turning out to be just as close for the victory, with 3 fighting for it. And that's a massive cut by Josh. That just shows you how desperate he is to win this race, and that's gonna, if he does a few more of those, he'll be getting a penalty. So he's probably used up his 9 lives at this point. So yeah, 2 stops, top 5 all making 2 stops. Anyone, I just don't understand why Deja Vu is so far down, unless he picks up a 5-second penalty. His first stop, he had to change his wing because he was running in the points ahead of Betrayer and Blue until he got overtaken when he made those small errors. So look, top 3 now coming up to a lapped car. That's the Mercedes of Mr. P, who gets out of the way. So good job from the back marker there. Doesn't want to interfere in this battle. Like I said, I don't want to see a PSGL F1 situation ever again. So this is an absolute classic to start the season. Aaron, Josh, Game Freaker, 3 laps to go then, and a 3-second time penalty for Game Freaker. Oh, and if Josh were to get a penalty now, Aaron is in the box seat to win this race. Game Freaker will be absolutely fuming with himself behind the wheel right now, because he may have just thrown away any chance of winning this race. So he may have to settle for 3rd in the end. Dougie Doo picks up another time penalty. What a nightmare race, and Josh once again cutting that corner massively. No idea if he got a penalty, because the other penalty flashed up at the same time. He must be on at least a couple of warnings. So we are heading towards the penultimate lap of this F4 PSGL F4 race, and just like the pre-season race, Aaron, Josh and Game Freak are playing a big part in this. DRS activated for the Ferrari and the Renault. so there will be no change of position as a result. Iran is doing what he needs to do. But you know, if these three are this far ahead in F4 every week, are they too fast for this division? That will be the big question. But for now, they are impressing. They've not made any real mistakes in terms of the wet conditions. Ironically, in the easiest conditions, that's when they've been picking up warnings and penalties. So the top 10, Iran, Josh, Game Freaker, Blue, Betrayer, Haig, Grumpy, Clyde, Hulkenberg and Simo, who's recovered. Fair play to Grumpy, Hulkenberger and Simo. They had lap 1 wing changes and they've recovered into the points. So not a bad day's work for them in the end, although they will probably be feeling what might have been. And Haig gets caught up to Betrayer. Now he's got an advantage in penalties, so overtaking him, he'll get it either way. And now Game Freaker looking for a move on Josh. Josh has to go defensive. Game Freaker looking for a move round the outside, and he's always run off the track slightly. Iran will be delighted with that. That's going to allow him to eke out just a little bit of a gap, an extra tenth or two. As Warren Haig has moved up to 5th place. I think Betrayer's almost, well, Betrayer is dropping like a stone down the field. So not sure what's going on with him. Let's have a quick look actually. He's got damage? No, he's not got damage, but the Toro Rosso driver not having a fun time with it. Maybe those penalties weighing heavily on his mind. So the top 2 from F4 last season, Blue and Haig, now running in 4th and 5th. But they have paled in comparison to these top 3 who have put on a real show for us. As we enter the final half of the final lap of this race, Iran can taste the victory. He's just got to hold it together and he will be opening his account for F4 with the race win. Can Josh do anything at all to get on terms with Iran going into the final set corners? Game Freaker picks another penalty and Josh runs wide. Game Freaker's going to try and get past Josh, but they've really shot themselves in the foot here. Game Freaker goes to the inside, but no, that is the end of his challenge, and Iran now scampers away in the Sauber. He is experienced, that's what he likes to say 20 times a day, but he is going to head for the line, and barring a Frizzo Star disaster for Sauber, Iran is your race winner here in Australia. Absolutely brilliant. So Josh picks up 3rd, Game Freaker in 3rd. Less than 4 tenths win in top 2. Blue, the reigning F4 champions, a good result for Force India in the end. He crosses the line. Actually, any penalties for Blue? Let's see. Haig finishes in 5th. Grumpy finishes in 6th. A great recovery from him. Trey in 7th, and Clyde has got Hulkenberger right behind him. Who's got more penalties than who? Clyde crosses the line 8th. Hulkenberger in 8th. And Simo will actually pick up 9th because of penalties in the end, so we're quite happy with that. Deja vu, well, what might have been for him. But let's have a look then at Iran. Enjoy his moment for his cool down lap. What a way to start the season for Iran. He is your race winner for the Australian Grand Prix for the opening round of the season. And look at that, punching the air in delight. And why not? A brilliant race win as we get our podium celebration. I really enjoyed that. It was sort of fairly dull in the middle of it, but that really hotted up at the end. But it's a very hard track to overtake, and Iran jumped Josh in the pits. Josh was held up, I'm sure, by lots of other cars coming into the pit, and because he was at the end of the pit lane, Iran jumped them and kept his cool to take the race win here. And these 3 drivers, if they remain in F4 for the whole season, have announced themselves to the F4 grid as 3 of those who potentially will win the championship. Here's our final result then. Iran takes the win, Josh in 2nd, Game Freak in 3rd, Blue in 4th, Haig in 5th, Grumpy in 6th, Trey in 7th, Clyde in 8th, Simo in 9th, Hulkenberger in 10th. In the end we had 3 retirements. and 14 finishers. So, a fabulous race to start the season. Great stuff from the F4 grid, as ever. And we'll see if we can get a word with some of the particular drivers. So bear with me for a second.
Yeah, I think Dougie cars like Mayhem at the start.
No.
Right.
Cheers for that, guys.
Cheers.
Aaron, hello.
Hello, you alright?
Not too bad. Big congratulations on your race victory tonight at Australia.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Don't know how it happened, but I think don't know if you guys kept tabs on that pit stop, but that was top class from Sauber.
Yes, you jumped him in the pit lane. I believe the Ferrari of Josh was held up. Is that correct, Josh?
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, I think a back marker came in at the same time, and I got a 4.9 second pit stop. Yeah.
And that was the difference in the end. It was less than 4 tenths between the top two. So you must be pretty pleased with your opening race, despite in some ways having the victory taken away through the pit stops. But a solid start to the season for Ferrari.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, Evan deserved the win as well. He defended really well. So yeah, good race. Happy with second.
So Aaron, I briefly heard you saying that people are going to say you're the favourite now.
Yeah.
After winning and showing really good race pace throughout, you know, you got to say you are, especially given your record in PSGL F1 and dropping down, you must be one of the favourites for the season, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that race particular, I don't think it was pace that won me the race. I think it was probably consistency throughout, and I think I used all of my experience to use in those tough conditions to make sure I kept it on the circuit whilst others were sliding around in front of me on the opening lap. So I think that was crucial, and obviously keeping Game Freaker behind, who was much quicker throughout the whole race. So that was quite crucial.
Yeah, well, you'll see back on the stream. It was a thrilling three-way scrap. I'm not sure actually who else is in the party, but does anyone else want to comment on their race? Just say your name and team and go ahead.
Go on, Grumps.
I was hoping you'd not notice me.
What happened at the start? Because I saw Hulkenberger was on the grass and there were several cars caught up, and then they had to have a wing change. So maybe you can shed some light on what happened.
I can take that if you want.
Go for it. Go for it.
Give us a second, I'm going to have to turn the microphone on. Like, yeah, what happened was, I think it was Seymour who spun me around at turn 1, and then my car was sort of half on track, half off track, which meant Grumpy ran into me because he had nowhere to go. We were both lost out front link and all that. It's a bit unfortunate, but not much you can do. I doubt you could see, to be honest with you. There was so much spray.
All I saw was the Renault. That's all I saw.
I think it was all caused by Dougie's half spin off the line. Like,
I went in straight into the back of Dougie off the line, and then it just sort of threw me, and then I made an absolute mess into turn 1. So wasn't quite sure who I took out. I think it was me, but I'm not sure. I've got a video of it. So I'll have a check.
So thoughts going into Brazil? Starting with you, Aaron.
I expect it to be a really tight race again. It's a shorter circuit, so lap times will be really close. Qualifying will be quite interesting, and you never know what weather can spill up. But hopefully, I can compete again in the top 5 for the podium, and you never know what can happen at that circuit.
Right, well, thanks for those words, Aaron, and well, I hope you all enjoy watching the stream back, because that was, you know, up and down sort of race, but in the end it turned into a bit of a classic by the end. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you for the Brazilian race next week. Hopefully Curtoys is back to commentate, otherwise I'm going to have a few busy Sundays to come, but if the races are like that, it's going to be a good watch indeed. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.